everyone. My name is Miss Electoli and I am going to be talking about the 120 rules of grammar. And under that rules, we are going to talk about the first rule, and that is the difference between each and every. We're going to talk about the usage, its relevance in the grammar, and what's the important topic that we must understand when we have each and every. So, first of all, let's begin with the understanding the usage of each and every. When do we use it? Why do we use it? So basically, each and every can be used both as a pronoun and even as an adjective. Here we can see this. They are used both as determiners to refer to individual items in a group and also talking about groups within just not just individuals but within all groups. So first and foremost, we have to understand the focus. What is the focus of the words each and every? It is when we have to understand the differences in meaning and in structure. When we understand the meaning of these two things, we will be able to write them in a correct grammatical order. So first, let's go to each. Now, each refers to individual items. Each will talk about individual in the individual sense, not just talking about one thing, but rather in the individual sense. So it could be talking about two or more than two people, more than two things, three things, four things, but it will be referring to individuals within those groups. So you can look at this example here at the usage. Each is used when we are thinking of the individual members of a group one by one. So number two, it can be used for two or more items. So like I said, it can be used for more than one and it can be used for more than two items, but it has to refer to individuals within that. So please look at this one, the examples of each. First example here, the focus is when we use each, we have a singular noun with the word each. Now, when you look at this one, each student has their own desk. Here we are referring to students, okay? And we are talking about more than two students, right? But when you look at the word each, it is referring to a singular individual within that group. So that is, when you look at this, it is focusing on the individual students. Here, how do we use each in a sentence? I gave a gift to each of the children. Again, when I say the word children, it is referring to more than two, more than three also, more than five also. But if I use the word each, it is referring to individual within the group of children. So my act of giving a gift is basically pointing towards a singular person. So you can see this one. Uh, it is also used with singular nouns. Here you can see this. Each dog has a collar. Now, when you look at this, you will find that the word each, right? It is referring to a dog and it is used with a singular noun. It is always talking about the individual member. So there's a clear difference between each and every. Okay. Next one, we will look at the grammatical rules of the word each. Can you find these three things? We will have to keep these 3 points in our head. First one is singular noun. Each is followed by a singular noun as we described, as we talked about in the earlier example. And also when we talk about verb agreement, that is the subject and verb agreement. Whenever we have the word each, the verbs will become singular in nature. As you can see here, each of the books was interesting. Now, if this was considered as a plural, we would have written where, since the books here is plural, right? But since we are using the word each of the books, we are going to talk about this sentence in the singular or individual sense. And therefore, the word each will be accompanied by the verb was, which is a singular verb. That is what we call the verb agreement. Again, it is used for more than two and two or more than two items. Each can refer to same thing. Again, each of the cars is parked in a separate spot. The cars is talking about plural things, right? So it could be two or more than two cars, but then the word itself is referring to the individual cars in their particular space. So that is the rules that we must consider when we're looking at the word each. Now we will look at the word every. So, like I said, the difference between each and every is the context in which it is used. So, each is used as an individual context. Similarly, every is also used in that context, but rather than individual, it is referred to talk about all individuals within a group. So, you can see here, refers to all the items in a group focusing on the totality rather than the individuality. So here you see the word every emphasizes all members of a group collectively without exception. If I say the word each, I'm going to refer to an individual within the group. If I use the word every, I'm going to talk about the group as a whole and totality rather than individuals. So let's look at this one. It suggests sense of uniformity. It is used when referring to three or more items in a group. So one basic difference is that earlier on when we talk about each, it was talking about two or more than two, right? But now here when we look at every, it is going to refer to three or more than three people, not just two individuals. So if you have a sentence where you have two subjects, then you cannot use the word every. You will have to use the word each. But if it is more than three individuals in a group, then you will always have to use the word every. So let's take a look at examples of the word every. Again, we have to look at the collective focus of the word every. Where is it focusing on? Which individuals within the group is it focusing on? Every student in the class passed the exam refers to all the students collectively. When I say each student, I'm going to refer to every single student within the group individually. But then if I say every student in the class, I'm referring to the group as a whole. So basically, same singular noun, but the word every has changed the context of the sentence. So context is very important. Again, it is used with singular nouns here as well. Every day is a new opportunity. So the word day is a singular noun. And one thing also we can remember is that every is used with abstract noun as well. So whenever you talk about abstract noun, what is an abstract noun? It's nouns that you cannot touch, nouns that you cannot see, but maybe you feel it, maybe you can understand it. It's a concept, right? So abstract nouns are air, love, laughter, knowledge are all considered as abstract nouns. Now, in that case, you will not be able to use the word each, but rather you'll have to use the word every with abstract nouns. So, for example, if you have reasons, it's an abstract noun. Now, you will have to write each reason is reasonable, cannot be the correct answer, but you can write every reason is reasonable. So you're getting my point. Every is basically used with abstract nouns. Similarly here, every day is a new opportunity. The word day is an abstract noun. We all know what a day is. It's 24 hours, but it's not a physical form, right? So the word day is an abstract noun, and therefore you cannot write each day. You will have to write every day. Again, inclusivity across a group. Every member of the team is important. If I say each member of a team is important, it is referring to members of the team individually. However, if I use the word every member of the team is important, it is talking about them in the conclusivity as an inclusive group. Finally, we have the last part of this topic, and that is the grammatical rules for the word every. First and foremost is it is used with singular nouns, so therefore every is always followed by a singular noun. If you can take a look at this example, the word book is a singular noun, so you can use every here. Every book on the shelf is old. The main thing is the context. If you write each book on the shelf is old is also correct answer. However, if you're referring to an individual, then you can use the word each. But if you're referring to the book entire group as a group, entire book as a group, then you will have to talk about using the word every. Now let's look at the verb agreement again. Here, you also have to follow the word every with singular verb again, similar to each else. The verb following every is singular. If you look at this example, every car, now I'm talking about 3, 4, 5 cars, right? But since the word every is written there, so therefore the subject and the verb agreement shows that the verb should be singular. So every car is parked in the garage is correct. If you have a sentence that is given every car are parked in the garage will be incorrect. So now we will focus on the key differences between each and every. Now the 2 points have been made side beside one another. When we look at the first point, like I said, each refers to individual items separately. Whether it could be two or more than two, it will always talk about separate individuals within that sentence, within the nouns. Next one, we have the word every. Every refers to the group as a whole collectively. So the collection, the main difference is one is individualistic in nature, one is collective in nature. Next one, it can be used for two or more items. In the second one again for every, we have it can be used for three or more than three items. Similarly, if we look at each, we have emphasizes individuality of items in the group. Here we will look at the emphasization of totality or uniformity of the group. Next, it is often used with singular nouns and singular verbs. Every is also used with singular nouns and singular verbs. So the main similarity between these two, each and every, is the usage with singular nouns and the usage with singular verbs. Next, it can be used when considering members of a small group one by one. For example, each of the students, 8 students. So a small group when we're referring them as individuals. Again, when we look at every, we have used when considering all members in a larger group uniformly. So every audience or every citizen, right? We cannot write each citizen, rather we can write every citizens when we're trying to talk about them as a community or as a gathering of groups. Now, finally, we have the conclusion. The key takeaways or the conclusion of this entire topic is this point number 1, that we use each when we're focusing on individual members in a group, and we use every when we're considering all the members of a larger group as a whole. Now, the third point is that both each and every will follow a singular noun and a singular verb. Next one, the last point is that you must remember the distinction lies in whether you want to emphasize individuality or you want to emphasize someone's within the totality of the group. If you want to emphasize a total group, then you have to use the word every. If you want to emphasize the group, but then you want to talk about individuals within that group, you'll have to use the word each. With that, we are concluding the topic of today. And for such interesting contents, we would like you to continue following us and for more information further on. Thank you.